The Alfa Shop Alfa Romeo Championship in association with Grove & Dean Motorsport Insurance and Toyo Tyres.
Hello and welcome to Donington for the final round of the Alfa Shop Alfa Romeo Championship. James, yesterday you were fastest in the twin spark class. Your pole today, so what are your predictions for today's race?
I think it'll be, as usual, tough. We've got 16 cars out there. I think it'll be good fun. Good fun. There's a lot of quick people and the circuit's amazing to drive, so whatever happens it'll be good to do.
Obviously it worked yesterday for you. Are you going to do anything different today, or is it the business as usual?
No, just keep the car exactly the same, put a bit more fuel in it and off we go.
Stacey, just tell us how your season's going so far.
Well, I haven't had the best season, unfortunately, this year. We've had a lot of problems with the car, which we've had to overcome. But finally, towards the end of the season, we've kind of conquered it. But unfortunately, I haven't had enough seat time in the car because of the problems to progress and do well this season. But hopefully next year we'll be a bit better.
We're here at Donington. You said you haven't had enough time in the car. What are your expectations for this final round?
As it's final rounds, I just want to go out and enjoy it. I love Donington. It's one of my favourite tracks. It's very, very fast. The car feels absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I'm here to enjoy it and hopefully progress up the crowd.
Graham, you're fastest in the modified class. You have the overall pole for today's races. What's the plan of action?
Try and get a good start. I think inevitably that's the first step, and let's see where we go from there. There's a lot of quick cars out there. We had a good qualifying. Peak Alpha GTV is just phenomenally quick, sort of thing, and hopefully I'll be able to do a credit to it.
The car's quick, you said, but what's it like here at Donington? How does it match with the circuit?
It matches well with the circuit. Yeah, it's very smooth, very fast, and it's probably, other than Silverstone, probably the best circuit for it. Yeah.
Championship leader Graham Seeger starts on pole position with Barry McMahon alongside, then James Nicholls and Chris Snowden. Andy Robinson and Vincent Dubois are next from Keith Waite, who's Power Trophy pole. Then it's Ray Foley, Ron Davidson and Brian Shrub. The Twin Sparks led by James Ford from Andy Hancock, then Matt Daly and Tom Hill, David Messenger and James Browning row 3, Joshua Lambert and Richard Stevens, then Stephen Potts and James Bishop, Andy Inman, Stacey Dennis we heard from just before the start, then Jeremy Chilton, Andrew Bork, Michael Donoghue and Paul Webster, completing an impressive grid. The lights are already on. It's a very long wait here at Donington Park. Out go the lights and Graham Seeger on pole, Barry McMahon on the outside. A very quick start from the diminutive Alpha 75 of Chris Snowden. Looks to the outside of Barry McMahon, tucks back in. He's going to go down into Redgate in 4th place. We've got the blue car of Andy Robinson in the mix as well. The grid, as I said, split. We've got the modified and power trophy cars and the Twin Spark Cup starting on their own in a separate grid. We go in car with David Messenger, car 79, 5th on the grid in the Twin Sparks, last year's Class E. Now look at this, coming down paddock through the Craner curves into the old hairpin. I challenge you to find a better looking field of cars in British motor racing. It is absolutely superb. A credit to everybody involved in the championship, but it's Graham Seeger, championship leader, out front. Second place is Andy Robinson from James Nicholls. There is Andy Hancock, one of the front runners in the Twin Spark Cup, and he's running well. The Twin Sparks, of course, have their own, well, 3 different classes contested in the championship. Graham Seeger leads out right, as we've already mentioned. This is the view from David Messenger. Once again, started 5th on the grid for the Twin Sparks. It's James Bishop that leads the championship Twin Sparks ahead of Tom Hill and Then we've got James Ford. Bouncy moment there for Barry McMahon. He doesn't look particularly happy. James Ford challenging him. The 63, the yellow car. Matt Daly qualified third in the Twin Sparks. Good to see him back with us. And he's running well and challenging McMahon at the moment, with James Ford right in behind as well. And then I think David Messenger in 79. We've had the in-car shots of Dave Messenger. Red, white and green car. David, the 44-year-old from Aynsham. Now this doesn't look happy to me. Barry McMahon set a very good time in qualifying, a 1:22. He's well shy of Graham Seeger's lap times in the GTV, but Barry's 1:56, not looking too happy at the moment as we pick up on Chris Snowden trying to get back into things. It was a very impressive start from Chris Snowden, but Brian Shrub, who didn't do too well in qualifying, of course gets the benefit of starting in that front group, albeit at the back of the modified and power trophy runners, and he's come through, Brian Shrub, up ahead of James Nichols. So it's Graham Seeger still out front. Here's the view from James Nichols, third position overall and also in the modified class, but Brian Shrub's got ahead of him. Number 25, Brian Shrub, of course we saw win at Cadwell Park. You might remember the last time we saw this championship on last lap was Cadwell Park. Brian taking the win there, fourth position in race number 1. Since then, single header at Brands Hatch for the championship. Double header at Croft. Brian Shrub won race 2 there and was third in class, fourth overall in round 11 of the championship at Croft. And this, of course, wraps the championship up. Seeger leading the overall championship from James Bishop. There being 12 points between the pair. So Seeger here, there are some drop scores to take into account as well. And I think both drivers, James Bishop and Graham Seeger, can probably afford to drop points, but they won't want to, effectively. They want to carry on banging in the points and pick the best of all the finishes that they can. There is Paul Webster in 66, Beeston-based driver, 49 years of age, fourth start of the year. But we've got a really good battle on for second position. There is Andy Robinson in blues running in fourth place. Barry McMahon's car settled down. Then it's Chris Snowden in 12, and at the moment leading the Twin Sparks is 63 Matt Daly, but Daly coming under a fair amount of pressure here at the moment. James Ford in 23 is the man who's chasing Ford, third in the Twin Spark Cup. Tom Hill is second, and through goes James Ford, goes through. Third in the championship, James Ford looking to go through on the inside line. They're coming down into the chicane and Ford takes the lead of the Twin Spark Cup. Great move there to pass Matt Daly, who's down into second place. So we go back in car with Daly in the 145, and Daly here up ahead at the moment of David Messenger, who's moved up 2 positions. We've got the defending champion, car number 1, James Bishop, who is second in the championship and losing a little bit of ground here on Graham Seeger. Remember, we've got to think about where Graham Seeger, James Bishop finish in their respective classes. Seeger chasing his first ever outright championship title. It's a cracking scrap, isn't it, in the Twin Sparks, as we look at David Messenger from James Bishop and James Ford out front at the moment in 23. So 156 at the head of that field. There is Ray Foley in the number 3, running in the Power Trophy class. Up ahead there of Jeremy Chilton, the black and green 156. Jeremy, one of several drivers that's started every single race so far this year. I think actually probably just a brace of them. Tom Hill, from memory, the other driver to have done that. We go back to the second position battle, and James Nichols has got the 147 back in front of Brian Shrub. So James Nichols in the 14 car, and sadly Barry McMahon's car, when we thought it got sorted out, seemed to have settled into the rhythm of the race and becomes a retirement, joining Richard Stevens. Paul Plant was due to have raced as well, sadly non-starting. So 2 retirements so far in this first of 2 races to conclude the championship. And there is Richard Stevens in the red, white and green 145. Parked up now with Barry McMahon, the two retirees together. So Andy Hancock busy chasing the reigning champion James Bishop at the moment. Behind them is Steve Potts. Here are second and third in the race at the moment. So James Nichols is second. Brian Shrub running in third place. Nichols, the 21-year-old, so young driver. Fair few young drivers joining this championship. 21 years of age, comes from Oswestry, running in that 147. There is Steve Potts, still working hard and dicing with Keith Waite. Keith running second in these standings for the Power Trophy. Ray Foley winning that one at the moment. And back we go to the 63. Matt Daly on his return to the championship is running well. See how close all of these runners are in the Twin Sparks. And Keith Waite, who took a win at Snetterton, race number 1 in class, has had some good results since then. Missed out, we didn't see him at Cadwell. He was racing at Brands Hatch, did race in the last doubleheader at Cadwell too, and is involved here in a good dice with Andy Hancock. Hancock, for his part, could probably do without the Power Trophy car getting involved, because he wants to try and close in on the defending champion who's out front. But maybe, now that Waite's got past, Hancock might be able to slipstream him. Well, it doesn't look like it. Hancock, I think, trying to get back in the battle and try and pass him as they head along Starkey's and up into Schwantz Corner. The left-hander back to 23. James Ford, the race leader in the Twin Spark Cup here. Ford looking incredibly for only his second win of the season. So Matt Daly here running second position in the Twin Sparks, up ahead of the Power Trophy runner, number 4 Keith Waite. Down across the line they go. Waite with the faster Power Trophy class car. Matt Daly in his return to the championship, running in actually an ex-Class E runner, running for the first time, known as Twin Spark, the Twin Spark Cup. Now he should in theory let Keith Waite go, because Keith is leading his particular class. Here's the overall race leader. Graham Seeger comes down. Oh, and contact on Ron Davidson. The 164 came across. Now has Seeger's car been damaged? James Nichols goes through in second place. So Nichols second, Graham Seeger the race leader. Seeger here, I mentioned before the break that Seeger probably could afford to drop scores. He drops round 7 at the moment, which was the second race at Snetterton. Drivers dropped 3 scores. It was 8th position and 4th in class for Graham Seeger in race 2. Now the thing is here that James Nichols is closing in. So did Seeger pick up some damage? You can see how much quicker he was than the cars that they were very much into lapping here. Back down the order, 78 is Tom Hill. Tom, one of the front runners in the championship, second position in the Twin Sparks. James Bishop, the class leader. There is Paul Webster, again in the 66 car. And it is closing up between the two leaders. So Graham Seeger's still got the fastest lap of the race. James Nichols directly behind him. Nichols joined the championship at Croft. A brace of third places for him. So too late to do anything about the championship leader. The Peak Alpha back car still in the lead of the championship, but we dip back down the order. Andy Inman there in car number 80, ahead of Joshua Lambert, 21-year-old, another youngster from Horsham in Sussex, and another driver cutting his racing teeth. You can see the yellow cross, or the yellow square with the black cross on the back of the car, indicating that he is a newcomer to motor racing, like James Nichols at 21 years of age. As I say, this championship does attract good young drivers, and Tom Hill, who we saw earlier on, who's running second in the Twin Spark Cup, is actually only 19 years of age. So a very wide age range. And if you look up the other end of the scale, you've got the likes of Keith Waite in his 50s, Andy Robinson, 64 years of age. Very experienced drivers. The man leading the championship, Graham Seeger, the Welsh pool-based driver, 54 years of age. So it is very much youth versus experience as we go in car with the slightly skew-whiff camera from James Nichols. Great shot nonetheless. There in car number 30 is Stacey Dennis, the lady racer from Burgess Hill, who we spoke to before the start of the race, enjoying her racing immensely. Graham Seeger successfully negotiating the back marker traffic. Andy Inman sees him, goes through, so an uneventful pass for Graham Seeger, who looks like he's on his way to take another win. Took 2 race wins at Silverstone, missed Rockingham, was back at Alton, took a win and a second there, a win and a second at Cadwell Park, a win at Brands Hatch, a win and a second at Croft. So he's going to resume winning ways, and that sequence of results that I've given you is how you get to lead the Alfa Shop Alfa Romeo Championship. But James Nichols is looking like a very good addition to the championship, and he's running in that absolutely immaculate 147, again in the modified class. And just a reminder, 3 classes, the modifieds, effectively the old classes A1 and A2, which affords the scope for engineers to get stuck in and produce something a little bit special, a little bit away from the norm. We've then got the Power Trophy, which is based on a power to weight ratio formula, and then the Twin Spark Cup, of which Andy Inman races. The 58-year-old from Newcastle is very much enjoying his race. Stacey Dennis a couple of cars behind him. Chris Snowden in number 12, closing up here on the 86 of Andrew Bork. Andrew's second start with us. Raced at Snetterton, 15th position at Snet. Brian Shrub, meanwhile, at the moment running in a lonely 3rd place, getting stuck into the back marker traffic. Successfully past Joshua Lambert. Now he's going to have to try and close down Andy Inman, which he will do, I think, with ease along the Wheatcroft straight. Up ahead is George Osborne in the 34. George, another very welcome addition to the championship in his number 75 car. So Brian Shrub continues on his way. Brian, of course, another driver who we always see up towards the sharp end. Two outright wins for him so far this year. Missed a few other races, and those race misses really knocking him out of the championship contention. But Keith Waite's still going, and Keith, as you can see, has now got ahead of the leading Twin Spark runners. There is the Twin Spark leader, James Ford in 23. Matt Daly is still second in class. Just can't get that gap down. We've got Tom Hill immediately behind, and then James Bishop, who is running in 4th position in class at the moment. And Bishop and Hill, those two, the top 2 runners in the championship. So Bishop, the 26-year-old from Aylesbury, the outgoing champion. Roger Evans was overall champion 2 years before that, and the 2 years preceding that, 2 lady racers taking the championship, Emma Kowacki and Mel Healy. So very strong in terms of lady drivers this championship over the years. Graham Seeger has got up amongst this traffic as well, though, the race leader. Now look for the second place card. There it is. So Seeger's built a little bit of a lead. Maybe the experience of dealing with the traffic is coming into play for Seeger, who's mightily impressive in qualifying, and he's translated that form into the race. Down to the old hairpin he goes through, and Tom Hill still running 3rd in class up ahead of James Bishop in the number 1, and Bishop really all over the back of Hill at the moment. Cracking race between those two. So Seeger working his way through, and the Brighton youngster still there in 3rd position in class, and James Bishop trying everything that he can. Seeger from Daly, Seeger the race leader, Daly a lap down now, but still running 2nd in the Twin Spark Cup. And this is the view from Matt Daly once again. Daly coming down past the exhibition centre. You can see there, was on the left of shot, now on the right hand side, that big building, a very impressive array of machinery to go and see there. Personally, I've never had time on a race day to be able to do that, but it is worth a visit if you're a casual visitor. But on the last lap, Graham Seeger is going to lap the number 4 car of Keith Waite. So Keith Waite's running in 7th position, leads the Power Trophy. Focusing on Matt Daly once again, still in 2nd position, trying to close down on the red 156 of James Ford, who still leads the Twin Spark Cup in this one. A quick look down at Jeremy Chilton in car 54. He's running 14th place in the Twin Sparks, ahead of Paul Webster there as well. But up into McLean's for the last time. It is Graham Seeger who is going to take the win. James Ford in shot as well. So two class leaders in shot, the overall race leader. And you can see James Nichols about to try and pass Matt Daly. Nichols scythes through in the modified class, passing the man who is second in the Twin Spark Cup. And it looks like the Twin Sparks very much settled in favour of James Ford. So Ford comes down into the chicane for the last time, being chased by James Nichols. Meanwhile, the checkered flag goes out for Graham Seeger, who wins round 13 of the Alfa Shop Alfa Romeo Championship here at Donington Park. Keith Waite going through shot there. The red and yellow car wins the Power Trophy. And meanwhile, the red 23 takes the Twin Spark Cup. That was James Ford. Seeger the winner from James Nichols and Brian Shrub, with Chris Snowden next up. Then Vincent Dubois, Andy Robinson from Keith Waite. James Ford does indeed win the Twin Sparks from Matt Daly and Tom Hill. Then James Bishop, David Messenger and Andy Hancock. Steve Potts next from James Browning. George Osborne 16th from Andy Inman. Stacey Dennis, Ray Foley and Joshua Lambert next up. Then it was Ron Davidson, Michael Donahue from Andrew Bork, Jeremy Chilton, Paul Webster and David Lamble in 26.
Graham, superb drive for you. You just got yourself one step closer to getting that championship.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good race. Really enjoyed it at Peak Alpha GTV. It's just phenomenal on this track, as I said to you before. And yeah, it was great. James was right there pushing me, and it made it really, really good fun. Had to concentrate all the way through.
James second in that race, but it took a lot out of you.
Yeah, shattered after, and we lost fourth halfway through, so trying to catch up with just 3 gears. So yeah, so hopefully fix it for the next one. Might be in front then.
Is that a big job for the next race?
Shouldn't be. It's just a few adjustments on the gear linkages, and then we should be sorted.
And you're going to fix the car, but are you going to do anything differently?
Yeah, practice more in the gym.
Brian, tell us about that race. You did have problems yesterday in qualifying in terms of your gearbox, and you started quite far back in the pack. How was the race?
It was tricky. First and foremost, thanks very much to the team, because we did a lap and a half of qualifying yesterday before we had a transmission problem. So they were up till 3 in the morning repairing it. So essentially this was our qualifying session. We started fifth on the fifth row of the grid. It was really tricky at the start because everyone had cold tyres, including ourselves. So it was really good to come through for third.
So I guess you were using this race as practice. Who knows what you can do in the next race?
Definitely as practice, for me and for the car.
Keith, winner of your class, the P class. Tell us about the start, tell us about your race, but you're having a well-deserved break now.
Start was very good. I got off the line really well, and it just sort of all boxed up at the first corner. I seemed to drop back through the field like a stone, keeping out of everyone's way. As the race went on, picked up a few places. I think I got back up to 6th or 5th, something like that, somewhere there. Car was going good. I had a really good race.
James, winner of the TS class, tell us about your race.
Really good, really good. Matt managed to get the edge on me at the start, mainly due to traffic, so I had to sort of fight and get back past him again, so that was difficult. And then a few of the Power Trophy cars were sort of in the mix there as well, so it caused a few issues, not just me, but with Matt and the guys behind as well. So they were quicker, obviously, down the straight, so maybe we had the edge on a few corners, and it's difficult because they sort of held us up, and that brought it all concertinaed back up, and it was quite a good scrap, really.
Welcome back to Last Lap. This is the final race of the 2015 Alfa Shop Alfa Romeo Championship, and it's Graham Seeger on pole once again, James Nichols alongside, then Brian Shrub and Chris Snowden, Vincent Dubois and Andy Robinson, row 3 of the Modifieds and Power Trophy runners. The Twin Sparks have a separate grid. James Ford, the winner from race 1, starts on pole. Matt Daly alongside, then Tom Hill and James Bishop, David Messenger and Andy Hancock completing the 3rd row ahead of Steve Potts and James Browning. Graham Seeger still leads the championship, needs to get a result here as well to secure it. It's a good start by the looks of things, and we're going to see James Nichols get the lead here. Brian Shrub's had a great start, so too has Vincent Dubois. Very nearly runs into Chris Snowden, but it's James Nichols leading. Graham Seeger's back in 4th, 5th position. Andy Robinson to the outside. Graham Seeger has got work to do here. He does have a cushion in the points over James Bishop, who finished down in 4th position in his class in race number 1. So effectively he could trade positions here with Graham Seeger, and Seeger will still retain the championship lead that he had coming into the race. Matt Daly's got away well. There is James Ford down in 2nd. Tom Hill is 3rd. David Messenger in the red, white and green car trying to come through on the inside. Keith Waite, the Power Trophy winner, is there in the mix as well, being gobbled up by some of the Twin Spark Cup runners who are trying to come through. So Hill and Bishop re-engage in battle. Bishop, the championship leader, by some 32 points, the Twin Sparks coming into this, and it looks like with potentially, I was going to say potentially a podium position. It's 4th in race number 1, but a good score for sure here on the cards, but goes on the grass and he's trying to squeeze past Tom Hill side by side as they come into it. Hill realised that he was there and very determined and goes through. Steve Potts is right behind them as well, the silver car with the orange stripe. So Steve Potts back in 5th position. As we look back to the race leaders for the Twin Sparks, Matt Daly still out front at the moment from James Ford. James Bishop 3rd, then Tom Hill, followed by Steve Potts. Then it's Andy Hancock in the white and blue, number 18. It's often the case in these Alfa Romeo championship races that do you look at the front, do we look at the Twin Spark battle, where do you look? And the answer is that you've really got to have eyes absolutely everywhere, because 3 different races going on. So the defending champion now ahead of Tom Hill after that great move, very determined move, going down into the chicane, and Tom Hill coming under pressure from Steve Potts. There is Andy Hancock in the Grove and Dean number 18 car. This is the view from Coppice. The cars make the climb up into Coppice, the double apex right-hander, then onto the exhibition straight. And they run down into the chicane, potential pass at the end here. And we've got a battle on for the lead, just going out of shot. The Twin Spark race lead, I think, maybe about to change, and Daly being squeezed by James Ford, who reclaims the lead. So Matt Daly back to 2nd, but he's immediately on the re-offensive. Right in front of them we've got George Osborne in the modified class 34, who's having a better race in this one than he did in race number 1. So very clearly acclimatising to car and circuit, but it's James Ford back out front in the Twin Sparks. Matt Daly 2nd, then the defending champion, car number 1, James Bishop in 3rd place. Now what we need to know is where Graham Seeger is. Seeger relatively covered, he's got one hand on the overall championship, Graham Seeger, for this year, but we're going to have to just check that he's still out there. And timing wise, I can tell you that Graham Seeger is indeed still there. As we focus on the battle for the Twin Spark lead, it would be great to see Matt Daly returning to the championship on a more regular basis. And the Spur Motorsport 145, first outing of the season, and proving to be as competitive as ever. Terrific in-car shot from the 63. We've had so many drivers contest this championship this year, and the turnouts have always been very, very good, despite the championship catering for drivers who don't necessarily want to race every single event. 14-round championship this year, started at Silverstone, then we went to Rockingham. Alton Park was our first single header, back on the double headers at Snet, then Camberwell Park, single header at Brands Hatch, double header at Croft, double header here to round off the season at Donington Park. This is the view from David Messenger. Andy Hancock is immediately in front of us in 18. Stephen Potts there as well. The number 3 of Ray Foley is there as well. So Ray running in the Power Trophy. Here is David Messenger once again. The drivers absolutely loving Donington. What a fitting place for a finale, and we're blessed with such great racetracks here in the UK. So Potts at the moment still there from Andy Hancock. Steve Potts used to race in the BRSCC Porsche Championship, comes from West Malling, which is coincidentally where the BRSCC is based. And Potts at the moment fending off his two Twin Spark Cup compatriots. Andy Hancock chasing him hard, so let's see whether Andy can get a run out of Coppice. David Messenger chasing close by, then Ray Foley, the 68-year-old from Wokingham. And again, it highlights this championship appeals to all age groups and also drivers from all over the UK. There isn't a sort of a nucleus of drivers from any one area. I suppose the southeast is pretty well represented, but drivers from all over the UK and all age ranges, as we've said. Graham Seeger has in fact, I think, come through and reclaimed the lead. So Seeger in the lead at the moment from James Nichols. So whilst we were watching the Twin Spark Cup runners, things have sorted themselves out in the modified class at the front of the field. So James Ford is now down in third place. Matt Daly having reasserted himself at the front of the field, and James Bishop in second position. So the two Jameses, Ford and Bishop, very much at it. And the Bishop there at the moment. Tom Hill back in fourth place. Here is Stacey Dennis once again in car number 30. Joshua Lambert trying to come through as well with the number 18 car. If Andy Hancock in the mix as well, but Matt Daly, and a spin for Chris Snowden. So the Alfa 75 of Chris Snowden takes a spin. Knowing Chris, he'll fire it up, get it back in gear and away very, very quickly indeed. A very experienced racer and long-term supporter of this championship. James Ford trying to hunt down James Bishop with Matt Daly still there at the moment. Here they come down the straight. And it's James Ford on the outside line. Matt Daly still in front. And are we going to see James Bishop in the number one car pass? The answer for that for the moment is no. Oh, and it's all going a little bit pear-shaped here. Off goes Andy Hancock. Stacey Dennis, I think, had a moment as well. Mick Donoghue goes through in the Bianco 56, the red and blue car. But meanwhile, this still for the lead of the Twin Spark Trophy. Matt Daly is out front. James Ford is chasing James Bishop, who is still there in second place, and it's a three-way scrap for the lead. And what a fine battle it is. Tom Hill is still behind them in fourth place. They're coming up to lap Stacey Dennis now. Stacey herself still inside the top 10 of this race. There is the 86 of Andrew Bork, dicing hard with Andy Hancock. But look at this three-way scrap for the lead. And James Ford is piling the pressure on, looks to the inside. It's three wide along the straight. I think Daly's got the upper hand, but the reigning champion is coming under massive pressure from James Ford, who was doing what Bishop tried to do earlier on, looking on the grass. He thought better of it. So first, second and third, Daly, Bishop, Ford. They're the top three in the Twin Sparks. Across the line they go. We've got Tom Hill in the black and gold car is fourth place. If these two carry on squabbling, or I should say these three, then Tom Hill will close in as well. Superb three-way scrap for the lead here in the Twin Spark Cup. So Mick Donoghue and Stacey Dennis really enjoying their battle with number 18 in the mix as well, which is Andy Hancock. Donoghue has the upper hand on this one at the moment. Hancock trying to close in on Dennis. Hancock further back than we saw him in the previous race, and he's going to go through, passes Dennis there down the Craner curves. He's got a little bit of work to do to catch up on Michael Donoghue at the moment. Andrew Bork is there as well in the 86. Still got Graham Seeger out front, incidentally, in this race. Vincent Dubois has the fastest lap of the race so far in the silver 156, and hopefully we'll see Vincent before we get to the end of the race. But Michael Donoghue heading this group of cars at the moment in the 156. Comes out of Coppice. Andy Hancock about to try and pass him to work his way back into the top 10 of the Twin Sparks, which is still headed by Matt Daly. Hancock's going to have a look down the inside. Donahue will hold on to that. Stacey Dennis keeping a watching brief at the moment, just behind them. Hancock with his lights on is going to try and come through. They go across the line, tick off another lap. Meanwhile, back to the overall, well, not the overall lead, the class lead for the Twin Sparks. And through on the inside is going to go James Bishop, still side by side with James Ford in red. Matt Daly is, I think, starting to build a little bit of a gap. The conclusion after this break. Welcome back to Donington Park, the final round of the BRSCC Alfa Romeo Championship, and it's Graham Seeger who leads the race and is doing more than enough to secure the championship. But look at this, these are the top 4 cars in the Twin Sparks, and off goes the defending champion James Bishop. Across the gravel, rejoins in the lead. That is going to be, I think, deemed to be an unfair advantage. James Ford in red is chasing Matt Daly, who did have the lead before we went to the break. He's looking down the inside, so Ford and Bishop still hard at it. Matt Daly dives down the inside, goes through and past Ford, but it's the defending champion Bishop, who at the moment is emulating his modified class rival Graham Seeger by leading the class, but not for long because Daly's coming through. And Tom Hill goes up into third, so Hill is third. I think there was contact there, and James Ford on the back end. Look, the car now is ever so slightly battle scarred, but James Bishop, who was dicing for second place, is now dicing for the lead with Matt Daly. What a race we have had from the Twin Sparks. It's been a great season between these, but it's the defending champion Bishop who's there at the moment. Matt Daly, 2 pairs of cars, the top 4 cars side by side. Where else in motor racing would you see this? This is absolutely superb. James Ford up the inside of Tom Hill, so Hill's back to 4th place for the moment. Lights ablaze behind them. Other cars want to take their piece of racetrack as well. It's Ray Foley immediately behind them. Matt Daly the leader. James Bishop second here in the Twin Sparks. James Ford next. Then the 78 of Tom Hill. Hill's had a pretty good run by the looks of it. Out of the chicane, they come across the line. Keith Waite is in the mix as well. Waite he's in the Power Trophy with Ray Foley. So Foley at the moment, there's Ray leading the Power Trophy class from Keith Waite. So that's a dice for the lead. We've got 2 races going on, 6 cars, pretty much all together, and all dicing it out between them. But it's Matt Daly still out front. James Bishop, second position in the overall championship, the championship leader in terms of the Twin Spark Cup, who is still taking the chase to the race leader. And Bishop has the fastest lap of the race, incidentally. The silver number 1, fastest lap in his class, I should clarify, back on lap 3. Matt Daly, though, still the leader. And I tell you what, if he wins this one, he will know that he will have earned it. James Ford starting to get back in the mix as well. The car may be damaged, but it's still delivering the goods. Tom Hill right behind in 4th place. This one could go to any one of the 4. So they are the 4 leading Twin Spark runners. They've got the 2 top Power Trophy runners behind them as well. Ray Foley and Keith Waite. Ron Davidson still running in the Power Trophy, as is David Lambourne. Off sadly goes Andrew Bork into retirement, joining James Nichols, who had a great second position in race 1, and Brian Shrub, who were expecting better things of in this one. But look at this 6-car battle coming down now, and James Ford's on the outside line. James Bishop is on the inside. Tom Hill wants to get involved as well, and Hill was, I think, thinking about the inside line there. But now it's Bishop going to the outside line, and Ford goes through. James Ford back into second position. So if you look on paper, these guys pretty much as they were at the start, but we've seen a fantastic scrap between them. Place changing, 2 lots of side-by-sides, the 4 of them still very evenly matched. That is what this championship is all about. Matt Daly still leads class, starting to build a bit of a lead at the moment over James Ford. James Bishop wants to get back into the action. Then we've got Tom Hill in 78, still 4th place. Doesn't seem fair reward, does it? 4th position for the amount of action that we've seen between these guys. Ray Foley still leading the Power Trophy. Down behind them, Ray had a impressive run. He was the lone Power Trophy runner from the start of the season, but good to see Keith Waite running with him. Well, this looks a lot more settled now, doesn't it, for the moment? Whether it's the guys taking a breather, perhaps prior to the last couple of laps fireworks, remains to be seen. But there is Tom Hill. He'll remember 2nd in the championship. We've got 3 regulars, and the returnee, Matt Daly, goes on to the last lap, who is in the lead of this one. And James Ford having a very good look again. And, well, there's the race leader and the man who's going to secure the championship, Graham Seeger, in car number 53, appropriately giving the fans the chance to see the overall champion passing the defending champion. How poignant is that? We're still going to, I think, see James Bishop take the honours in class for this year. But Graham Seeger goes past him, the Peak Alfa 53. He's coming through. He's driven a superb race. Matt Daly still out front. We've still got the race on with the twin sparks. Tom Hill has come through into 3rd place now. So Hill up into 3rd. And Graham Seeger, is he going to get past Matt Daly? I think he will on the exhibition straight. But this is the last lap. And Seeger does indeed go past Daly. So Daly looks like he's going to hold on for the twin spark win. And in front, the modified class winner and indeed the overall winner, Graham Seeger, who will sew up this year's Alfa Shop Alfa Romeo Championship with a win. Our congratulations to Graham Seeger, who takes the checkered flag. James Bishop will finish in 2nd position in the table, but it's a win to Matt Daly. James Ford 2nd in class. Side by side for 3rd goes to Tom Hill for James Bishop. In the Twin Spark Cup, the Power Trophy was won by Ray Foley from Keith Waite. Meanwhile, Vincent Dubois, this is for 2nd place. Vincent Dubois and Chris Snowden in the modifieds, very closely matched. And it's Dubois that takes it just from Chris Snowden. They finished behind Graham Seeger to claim 2nd and 3rd. So here's the result. Seeger from Dubois and Snowden, Andy Robinson and George Osborne. Twin spark to Matt Daly from James Ford and Tom Hill, and then James Bishop following James Ray Foley from Keith Waite, David Messenger and James Browning, Stephen Potts and Joshua Lambert, Andy Inman, Andy Hancock ahead of Stacey Dennis, Michael Donoghue and Jeremy Chilton, then Ron Davidson, Paul Webster and David Lambourne.
Not the best start for that final race, but you really have been in the front runners for all weekend, really, haven't you?
Yeah, it was a terrible start. As the lights were coming up and everything, I started to creep, and of course inevitably I had to put my foot on the brake, and then of course at that point they went out, so I was well and truly off guard at the start. But yeah, so I think I was 5th going into first bend or something like that, and tried to do something about it, which obviously did. So yeah, it was good, and the car just ran absolutely faultlessly. Peak Alfa GTV is just phenomenal. Yeah.
And of course the championship went right down to the wire as well, so congratulations for taking that title right in the last race.
Yeah, I guess it did. I saw when I was coming past James, well, the two Jameses, that they obviously had a right old ding-dong, but yeah, it was right to the very end, which is where it should be really, so that's good.
Vincent, we know you haven't done many races this year, but you haven't done too bad for your 3rd race of the season this weekend.
No, luckily every event I've done I've been on the podium virtually every time except this morning. So my car's going very well. I'm not doing too bad either. So yeah.
Well, it's not just about the car; it's about the driver inside the car as well. And obviously, this Donington circuit here suits your style.
Yeah, I mean, you might be surprised to find that it's the first time I've raced Donington. So it's a voyage of discovery for me, and I love it. And I will definitely not skip that event in the future seasons. Yeah.
Chris, 3rd in the modified class, congratulations.
Thank you.
Quite a good story, because you haven't actually taken this car out in 5 years, so not a bad job for the weekend.
Not too bad, no. The last time it was driven was Bryony, my daughter, drove it on a race at Silverstone 5 years ago. Then we did a track day earlier this year. That's the first time it's been out. Changed the oil, put some brake pads in, here we are. and it's got an MOT and it's taxed.
And obviously you feel at one with it because it's done a great job.
Fantastic car. We do all sorts of little bits and pieces to the car, but you know, this is great. And I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's been along to help. And Dave, it's fantastic. We really had a good weekend.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, so it's great. And we had a good race. We didn't hit anybody either, which was quite amazing.
It's always a bonus. Congratulations, Chris.
Thank you.
Matt, it's the first race of the year for you, and you won the Twin Spark class. That's not a bad job, is it?
I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. I've got no words really.
Yeah.
I've had a bit of a year off, and it's kind of a bit of help from the team, help from everyone else to get me on the grid, and which I really appreciate. And just got in and drove it, and this is what we've ended up with. It could have been any of us at one point. There was 3 of us fighting for it, and any one of us could have won that. So yeah, really chuffed. Can't believe it.
Ray, this weekend at Donington, you came top in the Power Trophy class. That's not a bad job. Tell us about your races.
No, very pleased. Had a season of all sorts of ups and downs this year, and I wanted to win the Power Trophy. It's the first ever Power Trophy year, so it was good to do. And you can probably see coming fairly close to the end of my racing career. But I've said that for the last 20 years, so maybe, who knows, where we go. But yeah, it was very pleasing to do, and a good race with Keith Waite. He put up a great race, and I couldn't catch him yesterday, but today it was better. I'm driving a new car I've never driven before, so and it's been quite a weekend of a learning curve. So yeah, very pleased indeed.
Congratulations to the overall champion, Graham Seeger. The winner of the Twin Sparks is James Bishop from Tom Hill, and James Ford. The Power Trophy going to Ray Foley. Next up was Brian Shrub, then Dave Messenger, Andy Robinson, Keith Waite and Paul Plant in 10th. Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for today. Please join us next time on Last Lap for the finale of the 2015 Pickup Truck Racing Championship, which comes to you from Brands Hatch. We'll see you then.